In this video, we're going to be going over some hitting tips against 99 Clayton Kershaw and the 95 Rich Gossage. Let's go over these cards real quick. Let's start with this Clayton Kershaw. He has great numbers. This is probably majority of the people you face, players you face. This is their number one. Great stamina, 114, 107 hits per nine, 113 Ks per nine. Good control at 88, 99 break. Good velocity at 90. You can see the pitch repertoire up to the top right. He does have 4 or 5 pitches, 4 different speeds. You got a 95, an 89, a 71, and an 83. Sinker slash fastball come in similar range, so he technically only has 4 pitch speed, which is very, very useful, very effective. One of the best, if not the best starting pitcher in the game. So we'll go over him first, and then the second one we're going to go over is this Rich Gossage, which we actually just picked up. He does throw 4 pitches. He throws a 99 mile an hour fastball, a 87 mile per hour slurve, a 95 mile an hour sinker, and then he's got an 87 mile an hour change. Great hits per nine and Ks per nine, both at 119. Very clutch at 125, so when he comes in the game, he already has that extra boost, give him an advantage when pitching. So he usually comes in key situations, so that clutch is very important. He does have 73 control, but I feel like he's not that bad to control. He is only in for an inning or two depending on where or how you are using him. So both of these pitchers I am going to go over pretty much everything, break them down so you guys can hopefully become better hitters against them. Again, these are 2 more dominant pitchers in the game. Clayton Kershaw is arguably the best pitcher in the game, overall numbers, and then Rich Gossage is very difficult to hit. If you did not take Rich Gossage, the 95 Rich Gossage in that first inning program, you're missing out because he's probably the most consistent bullpen arm I have seen throughout the entire year. I actually ended up going Andrew Jones. I think it was a 91, but so we went with Andrew Jones in that first inning, and I wish I would have taken Goose Gossage. I know everyone else was taking Goose Gossage, but I just wanted to switch it up. I love Andrew Jones, so we went a little different route. But so then I had to end up buying Rich Gossage for $50K recently because his price has risen quite a bit. It was around 20, 25K, and it was up at $50K when I bought him. So we're going to jump into these. 2 of the best pitchers in the game. Let's get it going. All right, first one we're going to go over is the 99 Clayton Kershaw, who we have on the mound here. Just went over his pitches, the pitch speeds as they show right there as well. First thing you need to know about Clayton Kershaw is obviously, like the last video, the plane the ball comes in on. We're going to show his fastball here. His fastball is pretty straight. Let's go over his slider. His slider breaks very, very hard. I'm going to go over each pitch. I'm going to throw a pitch. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. But he does have a very quick slider. It comes around 90 miles an hour, so it's very quick. And then his 12-6 curve is his off-balance pitch. It comes in super slow. When you're throwing 95, 94, sinker, and fastball, this changeup comes in at 70 miles an hour. That's a 25 mile an hour difference. So that comes in very slow. And then his changeup is also another off-speed pitch that just keeps you off balance. And the last pitch is his sinker. 4 out of my 5 pitchers in my rotation have sinkers. I love the sinker this year. I feel like it is a lot more effective. It's more usable for sure, especially with the pitch speed increase. So his sinker actually has some late cut to it. As you see there, it comes out of the hand and then breaks to the right. So let's go over each of these pitches. We're going to start with the fastball. His fastball, like I said, is very straight. It has very good control. So if you end up missing your spot with a fastball, most of the time it's going to go in a general location. It's not actually going to be hung over the plate like a Nolan Ryan pitch because he doesn't have very good control. So here's his fastball, very straight out of the hand. We'll see this pitch come straight out. Very smooth wind up, and it just shoots. So like Billy Wagner, he does present the ball on the left side of his body. So keep that in mind when he is pitching to you. The ball is always coming out in the same location when he's pitching from the windup. When he's on the windup, it's coming obviously right around. I'm going to pinpoint it right around here every single time. So look in this location when he releases the ball. This is where you want to watch the ball come out. We're going to talk about the slider here. This slider is just going to break. I'm going to throw the pitch and talk about it. As he releases the ball, it cuts pretty quick. I'm going to break it down a little bit slower in slow motion each pitch, but I'm just kind of showing you how the pitch comes out of his hand, which is very important for you to see. We're actually going to skip the curveball and go to the changeup first. Again, this is just a drop pitch. It comes in slow and just drops, as you saw there. Last pitch, we're going to go over the sinker, and then we'll do the curveball. This sinker here, you're going to see the cutback action that I was talking about. It's going to come at you and then cut up a little bit or away, depending on where the pitch is thrown. We'll throw a sinker again. We're going to throw it down, so it's going to cut to the right more. It cuts very slightly. Last pitch is the curveball. Here, I'm going to throw a curveball here and make it a strike, so you kind of see how big of a break and arc it has. Very big, very slow. With the leg kick, it's just a lot of moving parts, and then his wrist kind of like flings at you, so it kind of throws you off a little bit. You have to look for it. So his foot rises, his right foot rises, and his hands release, and then his hands come released like this, and his foot drops, and then his wrist like flicks a little bit when he throws the ball. I'm going to zoom in. So there's a lot of moving parts to this Kershaw. His leg comes up, and then the release of the ball. So the leg comes up. We'll do it slowly. The leg comes up, not all the way like his leg kick from the windup. The release, and then a lot of moving parts. He brings that ball very far behind it, but it comes, I'm breaking this down very slow, but it comes in very quick. This is very slow, obviously, but there's just a lot of moving parts. He does actually a very good job of hiding this ball to the last point, and then it's very easy to pick up right here. But the way he releases the ball, look at his wrist. This is a fastball. His wrist just kind of like breaks. So it like flings out of his hand. It's very tricky to pick up, so it's very deceptive. So we'll do like a full speed here just to show you what it's coming like at full speed. It's going to be a leg kick, release the arms apart, and then the arm way behind the back. And then it's going to be a drag of the arm, and then when he releases the ball at his release point, it's a flick of the wrist, and it's very tricky. It's very quick, but it's just like a quick, like his wrist is almost broken, it just releases. So it's very tricky to pick up. So that is one reason why he's very dominant, especially when he's in the stretch, because he does have a tricky windup if you have a runner on base. So that was his fastball from a zoom in point. Let's do his slider. His slider from the windup, from the stretch, it's going to break very quickly at the last second. So that was his slider. That was a breakaway pitch. We're going to go over this here real quick. You can kind of see it here. When the ball releases from his hand, it comes on the same plane as the fastball. This is very similar to Billy Wagner. The ball releases right there, and then it starts cutting almost halfway through. You can see it kind of going downwards. Right here, it stays on a level plane, level plane, level plane, and then cuts right about there. It's going downwards right now, but it stays pretty level from right here to right here. You can see right about there. It's about halfway through. Let's see it from this side. It's almost less than halfway through. This is actually probably a better angle to get an idea what we're looking at. So here's the fastball. You're going to see it over here. Now it's cutting down. Almost right here, it's cutting downwards, and then it keeps breaking downwards. So the reason it's tricky is because it's coming in very quick. A 90-mile-an-hour slider is pretty quick. That's some people's fastball in the major league. So it's coming more of a downward angle. Obviously, depending on where the pitch is thrown, this was thrown inside, so it's going to be a little bit further down, but you get the idea. All right, so we're going over those two pitches, the fastball and the slider. Here's the curveball. We're going to show the curveball real quick. The curveball pops up out of his hand, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to throw the pitch, break it down in slow motion. It goes up and then down. It's a very straight hanger, and it's very slow. So you can recognize it very easily, especially in full speed. Let's break it down real quick. Let's zoom in just enough so you can see it. Watch the ball go up. It rises so slightly. You can see it more when it's full speed, and then breaks straight down. So you do see a rise out of his hand when he releases this curveball. So his curveball is easy to pick up. It's the timing and how slow it is that keeps you off balance. That 20-25 mile an hour difference is very good to have as a pitcher. As a hitter, it's tricky to pick up. People usually don't try and throw a curveball in the zone because it's coming in slow. It's almost like a Trevor Hoffman changeup where it just kind of floats. So it's going to float in the zone and then break below the zone. All right, so we went over the fastball, the slider, the curve. Let's go over the changeup. The changeup, like the fastball and the slider, very straight plane. It just drops straight down. So it cuts at the last second, but it cuts on a downward angle. I'll throw it here and then break it down from a side angle just so you get an idea. Yeah, it kind of has a hump to it and then breaks downwards. I'll show you here. So here, this is actually good. It's kind of far away, but you get the idea. So as he releases this ball, you can see where it just dies. It comes out on a straight plane, and look at the break right here. From right here down, it's going, look how far down that drops. That's a very big drop from, what is that, about, well, 60 feet to the pitcher's mound. That's about, I would say about 50 feet. It starts taking a downward break even further. A tricky pitch to pick up because his fastball stays straight. And it's on a very level plane. This is on a very level plane too, and then breaks straight downwards with very low velocity compared to his fastball. This changeup comes in around 82 miles an hour, 83. So that last second break right there is very tricky, and that's where you're going to see majority of these pitches is below the zone as well. And the last pitch I love throwing, I don't know, it is his 5th pitch, but I just love throwing it, is this sinker. I love sinkers in this game this year. The movement, the miles per hour on certain pitchers, like I said, 4 out of my 5 pitchers have sinkers, and this is one of the main reasons. It's very tough to hit a sinker this year, and you can live around up here in the zone with sinkers, and it's difficult for the hitter to catch up to. So that's another thing about him I mentioned before. His control is very good, so if you do miss a spot, it's most likely not going to be a hanger. It's not going to be in a zone usually where the hitter can take advantage of it. Let's throw the sinker inside. This is actually a perfect example to a lefty. His sinker on the lefties is very tough to hit because it's got that late break, and it keeps cutting inwards. It keeps slightly going in. This is a very quick pitch, but it's gradually just moving inwards. So I'm throwing down here as well. The ball's just going to keep going in. If you're timing for a fastball and it's a sinker, you're going to put your PCI in a certain location, and the sinker is going to cut a certain direction where the fastball is going to stay straight. So that's why sinkers are effective, because majority of the time I'm not really throwing a fastball. I'm usually throwing a sinker. I have Jake Arrieta, who has a sinker. I got this Clayton Kershaw. Adam Wainwright has a good sinker. I got all these guys that throw sinkers because they are effective this year. Majority of the time, you're going to get a sinker over a fastball. So keep that in the back of your mind too. You can react differently. You can react to the cut of the sinker rather than the straight plane of a fastball. Let's go over Rich Gossage. He does throw a 99 mile an hour fastball. Tough to hit. Speeds are increased this year. His sinker comes in at 95 with very good break. His slurve cuts down. I'm going to show you each pitch, break them down. Changeup just dies. He is very effective because his windup is very goofy. He's got a goofy windup, and it's very hard to see the ball, and it just kind of shoots out of his hand. We'll go over it right here. But just look at his windup here. Out of the windup, he's got his arms moving back. He's got his legs popping up. Everything's just flailing. So there's a lot to look at. However, if you key in on the location the ball is being released, which is right, I'm going to pinpoint it right here every time. Don't look when he flings his arms back or his legs are going up. Wait for the ball to come out of that location and adjust from there. Watch the ball, very key. So don't watch him herky jerk backwards or his legs flying in the air. Watch the release point, which is right here. So we'll throw a fastball up and away here. Just watch the release point. His fastball is very straight as well. All these pitchers I've been going over, they have very straight fastballs. But he does throw 101 miles an hour, so he does have a very straight fastball. Let's do his changeup. Changeup just drops, just like Clayton Kershaw's. But the herky-jerky motion, it just keeps dropping. It never goes straight and then drops. So Clayton Kershaw's, it was going straight for a little bit on that fastball plane and then eventually dropped about halfway through, a little bit more than halfway through from the pitcher's mound to the plate. This one just continues to die the entire time. All right, so the changeup. Let's watch this changeup. So we do have a runner on first base. This will be a little bit different because he's coming out of the stretch here. Still out of the stretch. He still does have a lot of moving parts. Not as much out of the windup. It's more of just the leg kick and the arms. It's not rocking back and then rocking forward. This is just straight up. Arms come separated. So here we go with the changeup. Let's do the changeup one more time. It's just continually dropping from his release point. Drop, drop, drop. It never stays straight. His sinker has some good cutback action. This is actually a good time because we have Lucas Giolito up, which is a right-handed hitter. Watch this sinker in on the righty. It's going to cut. It's going to cut. It's going to rise and cut. Obviously, I missed my location. Because his control is at a 73, he can be tough to control at 94 miles an hour. But it's still continuing to cut backwards. So out of his hand, I'm going to throw a sinker in as well. The release point out of the hand, it almost comes straight and then breaks. So when it comes out of his hand, it's going to come straight and then break to the left on the righties. And you can see that very well too. You just have to look for it. I'm explaining all these things as I'm going over them, but until you're actually sitting down playing the game and understanding the ball literally releasing from his hand, you're not going to see it. You could probably see it because I'm explaining it right here, but when you're in game, you have a lot of different things going on in your mind, so it's tough to actually watch the ball literally leave his hand because, you know, you might have a run on first base thinking about stealing, or, you know, it's a 2-1 count, you want a power swing. Very good cut, very good speed. You can control it actually pretty well. The slurve is almost like his go-to pitch, to be honest, because when he comes in the game, I'm going to throw a slurve here and then explain it. His slurve breaks down and away from righties, down and into lefties, so we're going to break it. We're going to break it down here. So he has very sharp movement on this slurve. It's going to come out of his hand, it's going to break, and it's going to continue to break. 12-mile-an-hour difference in his fastball, but when he is throwing this slurve, this is definitely keeping you off balance because it has a lot of moving parts to it. From release point, it's got a rise and a break. A hard pitcher coming in, you're expecting him to hum fastball, fastball, fastball. So let's throw a slurve for a strike here. Let's throw it on the inner half to kind of give you an idea of the hanger. So it does have a quick hang to it. That was actually a really good pitch, but it does have that break as well. Very perfect pitch for him because it is a slider and a curveball mix, which is exactly what a slurve is. So he does have the break of a curveball, but it's got the movement of a slider. With Rich Gossage, almost similar to Nolan Ryan, make sure that your opponent can control him because when they bring in a hurler, someone that can throw gas, like I said last video, you're going to be amped up on the stick. You're going to want to swing right away because it's going to come in quicker, but make sure they can control him. So hopefully this video was helpful for a lot of you. If you guys want certain pitchers you want me to go over, break down pitches, maybe things that I could maybe present to you that's easier for you to attack a certain pitcher, leave those players in the comment section below. I will go through those and hopefully incorporate them into future videos. I wanted to get the main difficult pitchers that I have seen the most comments on that they have difficulty hitting, which is the first video was Nolan Ryan, Billy Wagner, and now we got Clayton Kershaw and Rich Gossage. So just going over some recommendations that I've seen in the community. If you have not subscribed and enjoyed the content, if this was helpful, hit the subscription button, leave a like for the video. That does help in the long run. I am on Instagram, I am on Twitch, I am on Twitter. All of them are at jprogaming27, the same as my handle for YouTube. Follow me on all those. I'm very active on social media. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.